All right, good to see everybody. Happy New Year to you. Great to be back in this room. Good memories in here. Off to a great start in 2021. Excited to be back. Our players are back in the building. Had an amazing team meeting last night. Everybody was here and accounted for that we expected to be here. Everybody was in there 10 minutes early and ready to roll. So it's an eager group that's hungry to get back to work, and that was really exciting to see. Obviously, today's our first day of class. So talked last night, it was more of an academic meeting, or was an academic meeting just to get acclimated for the spring semester, but great to have everybody in there and hard at work on 2021. I want to commend our academic support staff for the work they did with our players last semester and what we did as a team from a GPA standpoint. Really proud of them. And one of the core values I talked about when I got hired was competing in everything that we do, and that includes the classroom, and we're certainly doing that this semester as well, and excited about the start that we're off to this semester, and the group of guys that are back here and with us and ready to roll. Continuing to do individual player meetings with all the guys on our team going forward this week. Started that before Christmas, and then the ones that I didn't get to before Christmas, we're finishing up right now. Started that today at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. and had a staff meeting this morning at 7 a.m. and the majority of the staff is here, as you guys have seen, and got here quickly and ready to roll. So really excited about the group of coaches that we've added. Really excited about the strength coach that we've added. It's an awesome group of guys, and should have some more news here soon, I hope, on the remainder of the staff, on-field and off-field roles that we're adding to the program. But it felt good last night to be in there. Every team meeting that I've had so far has been not really my team as the head coach. It was Coach Bobo as the interim head coach for the first two team meetings that we had. So it was pretty awesome to be in there with the staff that I've brought in, with the 2021 team going forward, and cannot be more excited. Really, like I said a minute ago, pumped about the coaches we're going to talk about today. Really looking forward to you guys having a chance to visit with them and then meeting these other guys as we bring them into the fold. But just real quick, obviously Clayton White is our new defensive coordinator. I've had a ton of respect for him from afar over the years. His resume speaks for itself. I mean, our defensive coaching staff right now, if we ever need some more bodies on the field, there's probably not a more talented defensive coaching staff in the country. And I don't think we're done yet either with the last assistant coach that we're in the process of trying to work something out with. He brings immense physical abilities as well. But when you talk about Mike Peterson, Tracy Rocker, and Clayton White, you talk about three guys that have done it at the highest level as a player. So I'm pumped about that. Now we got to bring the offensive staff along because we're not quite to that level yet from a skills standpoint. But he's a guy that has spent time in the NFL as a player. Obviously was a productive player in college, has ties to this area. Talked to a lot of people about him, and the first thing that every single person I talked to said was, you won't find a better human being in the country. And then I talked to a head coach of his, same thing. Talked to a former player, talked to an assistant coach, and that's the first thing that started with all of them. And finally, I just would have to call people and say, look, I get it. He's a great person. I need to know about him as a defensive coordinator, and talk to a lot of coaches that have been around him as a defensive coordinator that I trust and respect, and to hear them talk about him and his relationship with the players. I'm excited to have him here. It wasn't a slam dunk to get him here. I'm not the only head coach in the country that recognize what a elite defensive coordinator Clayton is. We had competition out there for his services, and I'm certainly thankful to Coach Tanner and our administration for giving us the resources to get him here and battle some of these other programs that called early on or while we were trying to hire him, and then some people that potentially may have called after we hired him as well. So pumped about what he's going to bring to this defense and the staff that he's going to put together as well. Marcus Satterfield, our offensive coordinator. Marcus is a guy that I've known for 20-plus years. We were graduate assistants together at the University of Tennessee back in the early 2000s. Somebody that, as a graduate assistant, it was obvious what kind of football knowledge and football coach he is. His dad was a longtime high school football coach in Tennessee, somebody that I've been friends with, but somebody that I've had a lot of respect for over the years as a coach. Been in a lot of different places, from Tennessee Martin and Western Carolina and Chattanooga to the offensive coordinator at Temple and then out at Baylor with Matt Rule, and then he has NFL experience as well that was great for him this year. So he's done nothing but improve his resume and get better as a coach, and has been a head coach as well in the time that we've been together. So not just somebody that I've worked with that I know, but in my opinion, a phenomenal offensive football coach, great recruiter. I'm excited about being able to blend what they did with the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints, Joe Brady offense with some of the elements that we did at Oklahoma as well. It wasn't just I know Marcus and let me call him. Obviously, I did my research on him, and I think you see from some of the things on Twitter that some of our former players with the Panthers have said about him in the last couple of days. Tells you what kind of coach he is and what kind of person he is. And then the coaches that I've talked to, from Matt Rule, who I had multiple conversations with, to Joe Brady, who I talked to about this as well. It's pretty obvious the impact he had in Charlotte in his 1 year there. And obviously the other places that he's been as well. I like the fact that he's been a part of two rebuilding or not rebuilding, because I don't see this as a rebuild, but two programs that he went into with Matt Rule that weren't where they are now, talking about Temple and Baylor and the way they went from where they were when they got there to where Coach Rule left them is really exciting for me to be able to tap into that also. And then Justin Stepp, he's a guy that a lot like Clayton White and even Marcus too, but regardless of who I called about those guys, it all started about what a great person he is. And I've known Justin and known of Justin for a long time, since I was here before. Obviously, he's well respected throughout this state. That's obvious when I hired him, the amount of people that I heard from, high school coaches in this state, friends of mine in South Carolina, fellow coaches of other places that he's worked, high school coaches in Texas that we had relationships with from Justin and I both recruiting that area, him for Arkansas and me for Oklahoma. So he's well respected across the country. He's not just a receivers coach that has ties to South Carolina that we're bringing home. He is an elite wide receiver coach with the guys that he was able to recruit at Arkansas, the guys that he coached at Arkansas. Arkansas certainly did not want to lose him. And that was a battle to get him here that I'm thankful that we won. Great human being. Again, want to congratulate he and his wife, Brooke. They had a baby just recently, so it's certainly been a pretty awesome month for him. New baby, new job, coming home to South Carolina. And like all these guys that want to be at this place, believe in this university like I do, and understand what we can accomplish here in this football program. All of us are on the same page from that standpoint. They're hungry, they're driven, they got a chip on their shoulder. One of the core values I talked to the team about last night was gratitude, and these three guys right here are certainly grateful to be here, and I am excited they're on my side, on our side. They're Gamecocks and ready to get to work. So with that, be glad to answer any questions you guys have.
We'll try to get through as many questions as we can. Just to give you a heads up, Coach does have a hard noon deadline as he's got other meetings scheduled. So David with the first one.
Hey, Shane, thanks for doing this. You mentioned some of the guys that you had last night. Two guys that opted out, Ortre Smith and R.J. Roderick. Were they at the meeting today? Will they be part of the team?
Yeah, I know there's a lot of guys you guys are going to be asking about, and I don't want to go through every single player on the roster. We're going to get you guys an updated roster as soon as possible. You got my word on that. I've had some great conversations with R.J., some great conversations with Ortre and his family, and don't want to get into every single player on the team that has been here. Are they coming back, not coming back? But we will get you a roster soon. But I have had some good conversations with those guys. Thanks, David.
Josh Kendall.
Hey, Shane. Can you walk us through a little bit how it went down with Mike and the transition in and then out? And now that situation is shaken out and you've got Marcus, how do you feel about the end point where you are now?
Yeah, had good conversations with Mike Bobo when I got hired here. He and I met the day I arrived in Columbia, which I guess was the night after South Carolina played Kentucky, or we played Kentucky last November, December, whenever that was. Had good conversations with him then. Mike communicated with me throughout this process. He made me aware last Tuesday night that Auburn had reached out and had an interest in visiting. And we talked Tuesday night. We met Wednesday morning in my office. He kind of expressed where he was coming from with his thinking in regards to Auburn at that point. And I listened as the head football coach of South Carolina. And in the end, he did what he felt was best for he and his family. And as the head football coach at South Carolina, my job is to do what I feel is best for the University of South Carolina football program today and going forward in the future. And that's what I did. We wish him well, and have nothing but we wish him well.
Mike Uva?
Shane, for people that are unfamiliar with the hiring process in terms of finding a guy like Marcus Satterfield, I mean, I think some people instantly just think, okay, this is a backup plan. But of course, as a coach, you have your A tier, your B tier, and your C tier. Can you kind of explain to people like that process in terms of, a situation that took place with Mike leaving and then having a guy like Marcus and just your comfortability level in terms of bringing him in?
Yeah, great question. I've talked in here before, and it's true. When I met with Coach Tanner and President Caslin and Chance Miller, we talked about kind of the guys at each position, tiers, ABC, guys that I wanted to keep in mind. And Marcus was a guy that I didn't put him on there at every single position, but he's a guy that I had listed. In my mind, he could be a potential offensive line coach. He could have been a potential tight ends coach. He could have been a potential quarterbacks coach. I mean, he figures in a lot of different places. Matt Rule will tell you his value to that offense and that program at different places that he's been. So Marcus was a guy that I had in mind for a lot of different positions. And when I got hired, and he and I talked about this, I had a conversation with him after I got hired about, here's why I didn't hire you on this initial staff. It's my job as the head coach to get all the pieces to fit and the dynamics to make sure they fit. And really excited about Eric Kimry and Des Kitchings and Justin Stepp and where we were at that point. But Marcus was someone that I always had in mind, that I always knew I was going to hire here at South Carolina. So when the situation with Coach Bobo was resolved, that was a easy phone call to make. Was not a backup plan by any stretch of the imagination. It's someone that I've wanted to hear all along, and thankful that it was able to work out in the end. And again, that's not because I've known him. I know him, which I know what I'm getting from him, and he's a no ego. He's just he's a football coach that's extremely knowledgeable about every position on offense, and I'm excited the fact that he was able to go to Carolina this year and work with the offensive line only broadens his knowledge of a coach. Outside he's been in the quarterback and tight end world. Now you're coaching offensive line, does nothing but just help you as a football coach. And he and I had those conversations over the summer about how much he had learned and how much he had gotten better as a coach just being in that offensive line world this year. So that's only going to make him better coming back as a coordinator for sure.
Colin Taylor?
Ethan, you kind of mentioned the analyst role, the off the field stuff. Do you know what that's going to look like, and kind of how you plan on structuring it, and what's been the response to the people you have talked to about filling those spots?
About some of the analyst roles you said?
Yeah, analyst role.
Yeah, been good. I meant this before, and I said it in the first press conference, and nothing has changed. Is the amount of interest in positions here have been strong and is strong, and it's the same thing for those roles as well. So Clayton and I, we left the office last night late, and he came over to the place where I was staying, and we sat down and talked for a while just kind of about some of those roles and guys he had in mind, guys I had in mind. That dynamic with analyst roles, graduate assistant roles, it's all got to fit with the staff dynamic and who's coaching what and where we need to get guys in at. So there's certainly qualified guys out there. There's a lot of former players that I'm interested in that have interest in this position. And we're just working through that offensively, defensively, and special teams wise to make sure it's the right fit. And not to change the subject, but along those lines too, and I said this when I got hired, I mean, I could have gone out and hired 10 name head coaches 24 hours after getting the job at South Carolina and had the staff done with, and I didn't. And that's because I wanted to make sure I had this thing right, get the right 10 guys in here. Have I possibly made a couple of mistakes along the way? I'll be the first to admit that. But I want guys that want to be here, not just going out there to hire some guy that has a fancy name because he's got a famous last name or because he's coached in the SEC for 20 years. There's plenty of examples of guys like that it hasn't worked out for a lot here recently. I want football coaches. I want great recruiters. I want great people. I want people that are hungry and driven and believe in this place like I do. And I've had a lot of conversations with people, and I know you guys will have a chance to meet with Luke Day, our head strength coach, at some point soon. Just a dynamic personality. I had conversations with close to 10 strength coaches over the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I hope Steve Fink doesn't get mad at me since this isn't really his press conference today. We'll talk about Luke at another time. But just to make an example, I had a bunch of conversations with some great strength coaches, sitting strength coaches in the Pac-12, Big 12, ACC, SEC, and the NFL, and all qualified guys, all guys that are great strength coaches. But I just couldn't put my finger on a guy that I said, you know what, that's exactly what we need. And I spent 90 minutes on the phone with Luke and was convinced as soon as I got off the phone. I tried to get him to stop talking because I wanted to just get him to shut up so I could offer him a job. Like during the 90 minutes, I was that sold on him. And he's passionate about this place. You ask our players that met him last night in the team meeting. He wants to be here. I couldn't be more fired up about him. And, we'll save the Luke Day info for whenever we talk about Luke. But those are the guys. That's an example. And I feel that way about these other guys as well. And then I'm not naive. I mean, I hope we win a lot of football games here and guys have opportunities to advance their careers. But we got a bunch of guys here right now that want to be here, which I'm excited about. Sorry, Steve.
Greg Hadley.
Hey, Shane, just looking at the state of your quarterback room at the moment, do you anticipate maybe looking in the transfer portal or maybe even looking on the roster to help fill out that room?
Yeah, we're kind of evaluating everything. So Coach Satterfield and the offensive staff, we met this morning as a full staff at 7 a.m. We met, and then we broke up offensively and defensively, and we've been meeting each staff separate, just kind of going through our current roster, the recruits that are out there, potential transfers, going through every single position and trying to figure out where we are. And we've been doing that before those guys got here. And one like we just started it today, but we were trying to get Justin and Marcus and Clayton up to speed on where we are as a team. We're trying to improve the competition and the depth at every single position that we have on this team. And I wish we had unlimited scholarships. We don't, but we'll be creative and certainly going forward, do everything we can to get those numbers where they need to be at each position. And quarterback's no different than any other position. It's got to be the right dynamic if we add to that room. I talked to the guys in the first team meeting and talked about it last night. We always want to be about competition and competing in everything that we do, and that's no different when it comes to the positions on the team too.
Gene Sapikoff.
Shane, you just said a few minutes ago you didn't think this was a rebuild. What do you consider it? And also, everybody talks about, you and your dad and the impact he's had on your career. Can you speak briefly as to what impact your mother has had on you and your career?
Good. Smart man, Gene. I don't see it as a rebuild. I mean, Coach Tanner talked about it in the opening press conference when I got hired here, that this is not a rebuild, and it's not. I mean, I don't know what you call it. I call it I wake up every morning long before the sun comes up, and I cannot wait to get in this building. It's been kind of lonely here without the players. It's more energy than ever with the players in here today, and whatever you want to call it, it's a strong desire to get my butt in here early in the morning before the sun comes up. I leave here late at night after the sun's gone down. I don't do much of anything except sit in my office and try and make this program better and get around this building and make it better. I go back to the place that I'm staying. I'm text recruits, talk to recruits, and then I go to sleep. And I'm eager to start that process again each and every day and just go to work. And the results will take care of itself from that standpoint. And then my mom, I mean, how long do you have? She's unbelievable. A coach's wife, that unbelievable mom to my sister Casey and I. She was the one. Obviously, when your dad is a football coach, there's a lot of time that he's at work and away from you. So she was the one that was taking me to all my sporting events growing up. She was the one in high school that was traveling all over the state of Virginia to wherever we played, has never missed a game. I talked about it in the opening press conference. To this day, no matter where I've been, I coach a game and I come in off the field, and we go in the locker room after the game, and then when I walk in to get my cell phone, within 5 minutes of that game being over, she's called me, and that's been some late nights, staying up late to watch games, probably long after my dad fell asleep and went to bed. She was up late waiting and always called, and I can't say enough about her. Awesome coach's wife, awesome mom, and extremely loyal and supportive of our entire family. And my dad would tell you the same thing, about her as a coach's wife. Thank you.
Rick Henry.
Hey, Shane, good to see you again.
You too,
I was
Rick.
just wondering, what kind of message do you have for Gamecock fans? Some of them may be getting a little nervous when they see the number of players who are transferring out of the program, and just wondering when everything is going to settle down and they can feel a little bit better about the state of the program.
Well, I'd hope they feel pretty good about it right now. I mean, I see some coaches that have left some really good jobs to come here and be a part of this thing. I see some players that we'll talk about later, that have left pretty good programs to join this program. Certainly, when I got hired, didn't want to lose anyone, but knew it was part of it. I mean, University of Oklahoma, they just won their 5th or 6th straight Big 12 championship, and they got guys jumping in the portal. It's just part of it. It's college football nowadays, and guys are looking for better opportunities. And I understand that the guys that have left here, they did not come to South Carolina to play for me. They came to play for another coach, and I knew when I got hired that was going to be a possibility. And had conversations with those guys, and it was, respectful conversations both ways with the guys that left. And all I know is we got a bunch of guys on this team right now that we're in a team meeting last night, 10 minutes early, ready to go. Had one of our prominent players on defense yesterday texted me yesterday morning, said, Coach, can I meet with you at 2:00? And I'm like, oh gosh, what's he wanting to meet with me about? And all he wanted to do was just come hang out in my office and watch the NFL playoff games yesterday. So that's what I see. I see a lot of great coaches that are excited to be here. I see the way the staff is coming together. I see the group of players that are on this team and the energy and excitement they have. I walked in the building this morning at 5:50 a.m. I walked inside, and there were 2 of our players that were already in the weight room lifting weights and had long been at it at 5:50 in the morning. It's a hungry, excited group of guys. Are there potential things that could happen down the road? Sure. I mean, I understand. I'm not naive and think that everything's going to be perfect. There's going to be ups and downs, but we're just continuing to move this thing forward. And the other thing is, it's January, whatever this is, 10th or 11th. Like, yes, I've been on the job for a month, I guess it is. Normally this time of year in college football, every college coach in the country is at the AFCA Coaches Convention. They're sitting around, they're hanging out. People are interviewing for jobs. People are trying to get jobs. People are getting hired, fired. The NFL just made changes last week. Like, I know there's a sense of urgency because the staff's not complete, but I only get one opportunity to get this staff right. And I've learned and made some mistakes for sure, and doing my best to not make those same mistakes. I'm very, very thorough on the people that I want to bring into this program. I talked to Matt Rule for a long time last week, and one of the things he told me, he said he got hired as the offensive coordinator at Temple. He got hired as the head coach at Temple. Coach Rule told me, and before spring practice, the guy that he hired as his offensive coordinator bolted and went somewhere else. He promoted Marcus Satterfield to offensive coordinator. He went to Baylor, hired an offensive coordinator that he didn't have a relationship with. Before spring practice, that guy bolted, hired somebody from within. Both those guys that he promoted were still with him on the Carolina Panthers, and his whole thing was take your time, get this staff right, and that's what I'm certainly doing. And sure, I see guys leaving. Do I wish nobody had left? No, but we wish them well. I'm excited about the guys that are here, and we're working each and every minute of each and every day to continue to improve this team with the coaches, the staff, and the players that are here and will be joining us also.
Phil Kornbluth.
Hey, Shane, good morning.
Hey, Phil.
A flurry of quick questions for you. Are you
Questions or question?
Questions with an S. Are you confident the other coaches you retained are all now committed and set? They will not entertain any other outside overtures for other jobs, number one. Number two, what on-field position will Coach White handle? And number three, with Bobo leaving and Colin Hill apparently leaving as well, have you had any conversations with Ryan Helinski about the door being open for him to return if he's interested? Thanks.
You got 4 while you're at it, or you go with 3?
That's good. That's good. I got to go to breakfast.
Let me back up. Ryan and I had a great conversation when he called to tell me that he was entering the portal. We've exchanged some text messages since Coach Bobo left, and I'll leave it at that. So Ryan and I had a great conversation. I was back in Oklahoma when he called me to tell me that he was entering the portal, and we've communicated by text a couple times over the last week. Coach White, as far as the way we're setting up the defense, a lot of that will depend on how this last hire, the direction that we go. He and I have had multiple conversations. I'll let him talk about that if he wants to when you guys meet with him here in a minute. And as far as the other coaches on the staff, I mean, if somebody calls and offers somebody a head coaching job in a week where they can triple the salary they're making right now, yeah, there's a chance that somebody could leave, sure. Do I think that they're going to be leaving for other jobs? No. I mean, I hope not, but as you guys see, it's a part of college football. It happens. I met with the staff last week after Coach Bobo and Will Friend left, and just talked about that. I make sure they all understood that I chose them. I wanted them to be here, the guys that were left in that room, and that I wanted to go fight with them. That are there obstacles here? Are there challenges right now? Sure. Like when you get hired as a new head football coach in the SEC, it's not because things are great. There's problems. I don't want to hear like what the problems are. Like tell me the solutions so how we can go attack this thing and get it right. And that's the conversation I had with our staff, and I told them I believed in them. I wanted to go fight like heck with them to get this thing going forward. And if anybody in that room didn't feel the way I felt, no hard feelings. Come let me know. And they've all assured me that they're with me, but also feel, I mean, I'm not dumb. I've been in coaching for a long time. Guys get opportunities, and if it's an opportunity from a personal standpoint, professional standpoint, financial standpoint, sure. I mean, we'll wish them well and work with them through that process. I think the situation with Coach Bobo was a little bit unique. To say the least, and that's a little bit of a different story. But I want what's best for the coaches on this staff, and I've told them I want to help them advance their career in any way. That this is going to be a great place to work. That I want them here with me, and I promise to give them an environment that they love to be a part of.
And I promised Coach I'd get them out by noon.
We're good. You can keep going a minute. We can get a couple more.
Couple more. All right. Pete Acabelli.
Hey Shane, how are you? Happy New Year to you.
Thank you.
Just, along lines, any other year that you get named coach, you wouldn't have this roster management stuff to deal with. Has it been challenging for you, or do you look at it as an opportunity to kind of craft the roster that you want?
No, it's been both, just to be totally honest. It's certainly been unlike anything any head coach has ever dealt with the transfer portal, with COVID. And let's be real. I mean, the same issues that we've dealt with some of our players leaving here to go to other places, we've done the same thing with players coming in as well. So it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, every single day when my phone rings, is it someone calling me to tell me they're thinking about entering the portal, or is it someone calling me to tell me they're wanting to come to South Carolina? I mean, there's a lot of emotions, just to be totally honest. There's a lot of emotions that I feel from the time I wake up each morning to the time I go to bed, and a lot of that is just dealing with the roster. Like, I'm so looking forward. I'm so glad the players are back in the building. Like, I'm so looking forward to just being able to coach, because I feel like I've had a phone attached to my ear for a month, whether it be recruiting, talking to the players on my current roster, recruiting guys outside the roster, trying to hire coaches. It's been a lot, but it's a challenge, and certainly running on adrenaline, but it's definitely been unique, but been fun in a lot of ways as well. And at the end of the day, let's get the guys that want to be here, and let's go to work. And that's what I'm excited about, working to get done.
Joe Gorchow.
Hi, Coach. Hope you're doing well. I wanted to touch back on a couple of things you mentioned. You talked about a couple conversations with Matt Rule, and I'm curious, how instrumental has he been for you, just not just the hiring process of Satterfield, but also just trying to figure out how to best approach this new opportunity and assembling the right staff? Because you make it sound like he's been a guy who's been pretty good to lean on during this process and some of your thinking along the way in assembling the right staff and people.
Yeah, he's been amazing. And we've just had a few brief conversations, traded some text messages over the last 4 or 5 days. And first of all, even before this, just the amount of respect I had for him, going back to what he accomplished at, Temple. And Marcus Satterfield used to talk about Matt Rule when they were together at Western Carolina a long time ago. And it was Matt Rule and Jeff Collins, the head coach at Georgia Tech now, and they were together. And Sat used to talk about these two guys and just how, different they were than the other coaches. So I've known the name Matt Rule going back to then. And then he reached out on his own, I'll be honest with you, to me. I hadn't contacted him. He reached out towards the middle of last week. Then all this stuff was going on with Mike and was great. And then since then, we've, talked a few more times about Marcus and about me putting together the staff. And he's somebody that I will continue to lean on, I'm sure. He's certainly busy trying to build it right in Charlotte and get his program right. I know they're trying to hire a GM and all that stuff, so he's certainly busy, so I don't want to wear him out right now, but I'm going to be relying on him. And there's a lot of guys that are in that role as well as head coaches that I have a lot of respect for. But what he did at Baylor, what he did at Temple, I saw it up close and personal being in the Big 12. We played him in the Big 12 championship last year. Phenomenal coach and phenomenal program builder, and excited about having Sat in the building to lean on him about some of the things they did, but also excited about being able to have him 90 miles up the road.
Eric Boynton.
Yeah, hi, Coach. Could you just take us a little bit more in depth as to how the first impression Justin Stett made on you, kind of how he stuck in your mind, and when you got a chance to hire a guy, what was it that stood out about him the most that said, this is a guy I want to bring on my staff?
Yeah, the thing, just going back, I've known him since I was here with Coach Spurrier before, and just listening to people talk about him. I knew about him as a person, always very positive, high energy, always had a smile on his face. Obviously, knowing his brother, Josh, when he was the head coach at Lexington High and getting to know his brother, just a great person. And probably, I had phone calls from, I had multiple phone calls from Chad Morris when I got hired, immediately recommending Justin. And talked to Jeff Scott down at South Florida and talked to a lot of people about Justin. And it was just over the top, the praise, that I got from people about him. And then just having a chance to get to know him as a person during this process of him making the decision of whether or not he was going to come or stay at Arkansas. Just he's a high character guy, and that's the best I can say. At high energy, but just a solid person. And Coach Pittman at Arkansas kept him for a reason on the staff this past season after Coach Morris was let go, and it's obvious to see why, and it's obvious to see why they didn't want to lose him.
We'll take one more. Mitch Brown with the last one.
Coach, you've been talking about just making sure you have guys that want to be here in Columbia. How much does, when building your staff, how much does trust go into the process? Obviously, you want to make sure you have the right guys here. But also guys you can trust and have continuity and grow together.
Absolutely. That's what it's about. We've told our players that we've got to be able to trust each other. And I told them in the first team meeting, and I meant it, that I got to earn their trust with the way that I act each and every day. And same thing goes with the coaching staff. Like, loyalty and trust are big with me. And I'm doing my best to find guys that have those same values. And when I find out that, somebody tells me one thing but means another or does another, I have a problem trusting that guy. And certainly doing my best to make sure that we have those guys that I know when they tell me something that I can take it to the bank. And somebody gives me their word, you take that to the bank. Do other opportunities come along that certainly people are interested in exploring? Sure, but just be honest and communicate is what I've told our staff, and that's what we'll be about going forward. And confident that I got 8 guys in that staff room right now, and a building of staff that will be honest and communicate with me going forward as things come about, and we'll take each situation as it arises.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, Shane.